How's it going, everybody? This is Tava Drabo. Hope you're having another great day, and welcome back to another video. Alright, it's time for another edition of Gaming Revisits. In this series, I'll talk about all the games that I have in my collection, whether it's the PlayStations 1, 2, 3, or 4, that I think made a real impact in the video gaming world. And today's video game, perhaps one of the greatest arcade racers of all time, Burnout 3 Takedown. Folks, you have so many great racing games nowadays. Obviously, there were quite a few of them for the PlayStation 2 back then, whether it's NASCAR video games, Gran Turismo, Need for Speed, all of those video games and all that stuff. However, there was one racing franchise that was just starting to really come out into the open, and this was the game right here that really put them on the map for real. The third game in the Burnout franchise, Burnout 3 Takedown, still goes down, in my opinion, as not only one of the greatest racing games of all time, but also one of my all-time favorites. So this game obviously was developed by Criterion Games, and it was published by Electronic Arts in September of 2004 for the PlayStation 2, along with the Xbox as well. This was the very first game that was released in the Burnout franchise under EA. The very first two games prior were published under the Acclaim Entertainment, which of course shut down earlier in 2004. And this game, let me tell you what, it had a lot happening in it. In this game, you basically go across the entire world through continents of the United States, along with Europe, and even the Far East, which I think is a combination of Asia and Australia, I don't know. But either way, through this entire game, you go through a series of events, whether it's races or even crash events and all that stuff, to prove that you are the best driver in all of Burnout 3 Takedown. Like I said before, there's just so much going on in this game. You have a bunch of brand new features, you have a lot of cool cars, and also a brand new crash system that, in my opinion, really put this game over the top. And I'll talk a little bit about that in just a little bit. But there's just so much to love about this game. There's just a lot of intensity, there's a lot of action, and really, you're on the edge of your seat all the way. Well, all the way from the compact series to the very top in the Super series. There is just so much going on in this game. And that's exactly the reason why I think this game has made such a great impact in the video game world. I know I talked about this a little bit during my Burnout video back in 2020 when I was doing my internship, but I want to do this more extensively in regards to this game because there is so much to love in regards to Burnout 3 Takedown. And obviously, one of the top reasons why it is the gameplay. The gameplay of this game took a huge step up from its two predecessors. Here, you have a whole bunch of new modes, obviously. And one of the things that you obviously have to look at is the World Tour. This is now completely expanded from the first two games because here you're going across the entire world. As I mentioned before, the United States, a lot of Europe, and also in the Far East. That's now two brand new continents that you're adding to go along with all the racing that you're already doing in the United States, which makes this game much more expansive. Not only that, you also have some brand new modes as well. Of course, you obviously have your races, but you also now have your road rage as well, and that's a very fun mode, and I'll talk a little bit about that when I get to the next reason why this game is awesome. And you also have your time attacks as well, and also you have your Grand Prix, which is a series of 3 or 4 races to determine the best driver in your particular series. And of course, you also have your crash mode. Now, obviously, this mode first premiered in the previous game, Burnout 2 Point of Impact, in which obviously you crash in as much traffic as possible and claim as much money as possible out of the end. Here it is completely expanded. You have a ton of new crash events that turn into much more complex opportunities to really do a whole ton of damage, not just to traffic, but also up in the scoreboard as well. And it also has a crash breaker system in which you can explode your car and do a ton of damage if you get a high enough score to be able to activate that. And really, because of that, the gameplay is just very exciting. It's really, you just go one-on-one across a whole bunch of other drivers. You're really just enjoying all the action and really just racing in traffic and also in the dirt sometimes as well, and really just banging into each other or stuff like that. That's how most racing games are meant to be. Really just going after each other and just having a lot of fun doing so. And I just really enjoyed it because most of the cars, they were very easy to control. And obviously, the way that they can catch up to a whole bunch of drivers and really just cause a whole bunch of huge takedowns as well, that's what makes this game so exciting. And because of that, the way everything goes, all the tracks and how you maneuver around them, and ultimately the way you maneuver your cars, obviously you have to be very careful in regards to how you're doing that. But either way, this is what makes this game so great. I think that they really mastered the gameplay in this game compared to the first two games. And I think that really was what was the first reason as to why this game really put it over the top as one of the greatest arcade racers of all time. Which leads into the next reason as to why this game was so impactful, and that's its crash system. Now, note the bottom of the title here, Takedown. That is a huge part of this game. It's brand new takedown system in which you get to literally wreck your own opponents. You didn't get to do that in Burnout or Burnout 2 Point of Impact. So what happens here is that obviously you get to wreck your opponents and put them into the walls or even wreck them into traffic or stuff like that. And the more times that you do that, you get to earn some extra boost as well. So sometimes you would have that meter at the bottom of the screen that would extend and fill up with boost for every takedown that you have. But obviously you have to be very careful because the moment you wreck or have any issues, obviously that boost bar is going to go down. And trust me, you do not want to have a low amount of boost when you're competing in something like a race or a face-off or something like that, because that can be pretty bad. But man, I love this edition. I think this was the mode that really put this game over the top. The opportunity to just wreck your own opponents in ways that you could have never imagined. Really, you get to turn them right into oncoming traffic. You get to wreck them into fences. You get to wreck them into hills. Heck, you can even get signature takedowns as well. In areas where you take your opponents down, you get a signature snapshot of that particular accident. Trust me, man, this entire thing, this is all because of the takedown system, and I really feel like that this was such a great addition to this game. And yeah, you get to see some real cool takedowns as well, obviously. Heck, I don't really know if there are any opportunities to really get your cars to explode. There weren't any opportunities for vertical takedowns, though that wouldn't happen until Burnout Revenge, obviously. But still, to get to wreck your own opponents this time, which you didn't get to do the last time, you would be lucky to even just get past your opponents without wrecking yourself the last couple of games. In this game, man, it is so fun to see your fellow drivers end up going up in smoke, and it really brings a whole lot of satisfaction to the game. I also really love the car selection in this game that you have. In fact, there are basically 5 series, and it all starts with the compact series, which obviously is the very first one, and then you get into your muscle cars, and then obviously that's all the series in the US. You also get a couple more modes, obviously, in the European tour, and then once you get into the Far East, you go all the way to the very top of the branch, which is the Super Series, which is ultimately the best of the best. You get all the best cars there in that series, and you get a whole bunch of cool cars as well there. Obviously, you get to customize the paint schemes to your cars and really adjust them, and really each one of them has their own way of controlling themselves. Obviously, some of these cars are a lot easier to control, and some, well, they can be a bit of a devil to handle. But hey, the fact that you have this many cars in your collection that you get to have, obviously the more you unlock, it obviously becomes a lot easier to really have fun with them. Trust me, there are a lot of great cars that you can race in this game. And the same thing goes in the crash mode as well. Obviously, whenever you rack up enough money, you get to unlock some really cool weaponry that you can use for future crash events. Like for example, trucks, big rigs, buses. Heck, you even get fire trucks in this game as well. Trust me, the more damage that you cause, the more and more of those rewards that you lock up. And trust me, having as big of a car collection as possible is definitely worth something. It's really a shame though that you don't get to use all the cars that you unlock in the crash mode in the races and road rage events as well, because I would have been very interested in seeing a series in regards to, cars that you unlock through the crash mode in that kind of area. But hey, it is what it is on that front. You got a good car list in this game, and trust me, it is a very good one. Obviously, they will only get better in the next couple of games, but this was a real good start. Then you get into the graphics, and trust me, they are some of the most realistic that you will ever see for an arcade racing game during the days of the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox. I know that for most racing games, it will look like, it would be a little fizzly and stuff like that. I mean, it may look real, but at the same time, it just looks like a game. Here, it really feels like that you are right there. Everything is just fast-paced, it all blends in well with all the the traffic. It blends in well with all the scenery and the surroundings and all that stuff, and even with all the locations that you go to. Man, it just really feels like that you are there on the streets on a Sunday drive, just really enjoying yourself. The only difference is that you don't get to enjoy it that much because obviously you have to deal with 5 other guys on the streets and really trying to take them out while trying to get to the line in first place. Still, it really just feels like that you are there, and it's just something that you really have to see to believe. In fact, if I really want to say something, I feel like that these graphics were actually better than NASCAR 2005 Chase for the Cup. Now, obviously, as I said before, NASCAR games, this was during the golden era of that era, and obviously, I feel like that NASCAR 2005 was really where the tipping point in regards to its series' obvious decline really started to begin. But the fact that Burnout actually had better graphics than that one, hey, that's saying something. So yeah, props to Criterion for using that renderware system to its advantage here. I really feel like that it really brought the game to the next level, and as a result, it made one very realistic arcade racing game that everybody that really enjoy racing on the streets and with total chaos can thoroughly enjoy. And yeah, while this game is awesome and a sight to behold, there were still some disappointments as well. One of the things obviously was that you don't really get a chance to adjust the handling of the cars. With most of the muscle cars and all the other cars that you have in here, whatever you have, in regards to the way you handle, you're just gonna have to deal with it, unfortunately. It's a shame because I definitely wish that there was some sort of system in which you can really adjust the handling of your car so that way you can make it easier to drive and all that stuff. But still, you know, just the amount of cars in itself is enough to really satisfy a fan of this game, obviously. But still, you know, if they had that ability to really adjust the cars like you saw in the NASCAR games and in Gran Turismo as well, I definitely feel like that it would make this game a whole lot better. I definitely feel like that would have made it a lot easier for most people to be able to handle their cars a lot better. Still, it doesn't take away from how awesome the rest of this game is. I also have a bit of an issue with the fact that there wasn't no traffic attack on here, but obviously, as we all know, that would not appear for the first time until Burnout Revenge. It wasn't even a thought then, but still, just imagine if that was in this game as well. Boy, that would have been a whole lot more fun. And then the soundtrack as well. I mean, it is the first Burnout game that has an EA tracks, obviously, but a lot of the games sound more punk sounding, and there are, of course, a couple of really hard rock sounding songs as well, but, you know, obviously the next couple of games, you would really see that full soundtrack that would really blend right in with all the action, most notably with Burnout Revenge. I really wish they had done that here with Burnout 3 Takedown, because the way the soundtrack is, especially with most of the songs on there, it feels a lot more like a skateboarding-esque game than it is a real hardcore racing game, though I do have most of these songs in my Spotify playlist. And also the DJ. I'm going to be honest with you, I really wish DJ Atomica was the DJ in this game and not DJ Striker, because DJ Striker, he does sound pretty annoying, but that's obviously a problem for another time. But still, that doesn't take away from how awesome this game is. With a near 90 to 95% approval rating on Metacritic and a whole bunch of other sources as well, this is by far one of, if not the greatest arcade racers of all time. There is so much to love about Burnout 3 Takedown. This was the peak of the Burnout franchise, even though the franchise would still develop 2 more great games with Burnout Revenge and Burnout Paradise. The last of those 2, that also made a huge impact in the gaming world itself. But still, if you really want to talk about an arcade racer where you can really just let loose, go after your opponents, and really just cause a whole lot of destruction in doing so, this was a game right here. And trust me, I used to play this game a ton when I was a kid, and obviously the fact that for at least a few years after I left from Union that I hadn't played this game in a while, I just felt like that I want this game back, and I have had this game for such a long time that it was such a joy whenever I turned this game on and played it, because the destruction in there, it is satisfying. The Burnout franchise hasn't had a real major game release since 2008, obviously, and it's really such a shame because I definitely wish that this franchise was still around. I mean, I know that there's dangerous driving and all that stuff, but it doesn't really feel like that Burnout-esque game before. It just feels like more modern and stuff like that. But obviously, if this franchise were to come back, I really hope that EA and Criterion do what they did with Burnout 3, because I definitely feel like that, you know, the way that this game held up, and it still holds up very well today, it would be a whole lot of fun getting to relive everything that I saw in Burnout 3 Takedown. Takedown again. Trust me, this game had it all and then some. There are a lot of arcade racers that people will say are among the greatest of all time. This right here is definitely up there, and that's exactly why I had to revisit Burnout 3 Takedown, because this arcade racer made such a huge impact in the video gaming world in a way that many people did not even expect. So that's gonna do it. I really enjoyed this game, and of course there are a few other games that I also have in my collection that I also thoroughly enjoy as well, so I definitely would like to talk a little bit about those in the near future. So I'd like to hear from you. What other games do I have in my collection would you like for me to review next? Let me know down in the comments below. I'll take a look at those, and then hopefully I will do a review on them at some point. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. As always, if you'd like to see more of my content, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when my latest video is released. Comment below for future suggestions for all my videos, whether it's blogs, projects, or challenges, you name it. Leave it in the comments below and I'll do my best to make them. As always, follow me on my social media. All the links are in the description below. That's gonna do it for this video. I hope you're having another great day. Again, if you are a die-hard arcade racer that's looking to get into the retro scene, I highly recommend that you get this game. It is absolutely awesome, and I promise you, you will enjoy every moment of Burnout 3 Takedown. It is one of the greatest of all time, and I really enjoy it, so I recommend that you give this game a shot. But either ways, I hope you all enjoyed this video. As always, I hope to see you all again in the next one very soon. So long, everybody.